I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Now, New York has a new weapon. He's a cop with his own way of enforcing the law. His own way of fighting crime. Meet New York's new weapon. Jackie Chan is the Protector. Rated R.
That's once again, welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Wes. And it is for the 1985 film The Protector with Jackie Chan. Now, like I said, this is a paid request. If anyone wants to request any other type of videos, reviews, re-reviews, anything random, requests, topics, lists, what have you, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. Now, The Protector has nothing to do with Tony Jaa's The Protector, which would come out many years later. This was one of the times Jackie Chan tried to get into the American market and was unsuccessful. Now, first and foremost, I am a big fan of Jackie Chan. The first time I saw him was in Rumble in the Bronx. After that, it was Hoot and Super Cop, Operation Condor, Police Story, and more so. I'm a big fan of Jackie Chan. Now, growing up, for him, he had to work with people like Sammo Hung and work doing stunts. You could see him in small snippets in films like Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. And work up in the stunt world. Then when Bruce Lee passed away, he was one of the people that they tried to make him into another Bruce Lee. And the whole era where you have Bruce Lee with L-E, Bruce Lee, L-I, Bruce Lee, L-E-I-G-H, Lee Bruce, like all these Bruceploitation films. And Jackie Chan, they put in some of them, including, not as many as the others, but I think it was New Fist of Fury. I think that was the name of it. And Jackie wasn't really happy with that. I think one of the best ways he put it, I don't want to be the next Bruce Lee. I want to be the first Jackie Chan. He wants to make it on his own. And so he did stuff that was much more into comedy, goofiness, more comedic, and became successful. Because it stood out. It was different. It's more unique. And in fact, I forget who it was, like, there were some people that tried to copy Jackie Chan and were Jackie Chan imitators. But, you know, Jackie, he did his own thing. He would star in more movies, start directing movies, and those movies became more and more successful in China, but he really wanted to break into the American market. Now, like I said, there were earlier, well, I haven't said, but This isn't the first time he tried to break into the American market. There was Battle Creek Brawl, also known as the Big Brawl, directed by Robert Klaus, same guy who directed Enter the Dragon. And I actually don't mind that film. A lot of people hate that movie. And no, it's not up to par of, say, Super Cop or Police Story, but the Big Brawl, there's two names, that or Battle Creek Brawl. I don't think it's that bad of a film at all. I found it rather entertaining and interesting, especially in retrospect. But that didn't work out. And then he had bit parts in some Burt Reynolds movies, the Cannonball Run films, Part 1 and Part 2. And this was another one in 1985. James Glickenhaus, the guy who directed The Exterminator, the first one, The Soldier with Tian Wall. He got the chance to direct this, and honestly, based on interviews, he wasn't really a fan of Jackie Chan's style. He wasn't a fan of his comedic style. He didn't want to do a film like that. He wanted a harder edge Jackie. And it seemed like the reason he wanted to do it was because A, it was a job, and B, he would get to work a little bit in Hong Kong. And I know it's like 5 minutes in. The film, at the end of the day, I don't mind the film. I don't hate it. I do think the Hong Kong cut is a much, much better version. And of the two cuts of this film to see, the Hong Kong version is the way to go. Because based on the two cuts, you could tell Jackie Chan, obviously, knows how to handle action better than James Glickenhaus. James Glickenhaus, I'm not really much a fan of him as a director. Has he made films I've enjoyed? Sure, Shakedown being one of them. But you know what? The Soldier was a movie that made a great trailer. But if you try to watch the film, it's not nearly as good as the trailer, because the trailer showed any good bits that movie had. So he made a meh, so-so mediocre movie, but it had some good stout work, and like I said, made for a good trailer. The Exterminator, I thought sucked. I think the sequel was better. And I don't think James Glickenhaus directed the sequel. So yeah, the sequel I enjoyed more than the first Exterminator. Shakedown I like. But part of me to be fair, there's some stunt sequences in Shakedown with the roller coaster bit. Even some stuff here. It's just one of those things, though, that back in the day when you saw this, and you saw this Jackie, this was not a good representation of who Jackie Chan was and what he was capable of. Now, in retrospect, the movie is interesting because now that Jackie has made, 100 movies? I mean, he's made a lot of movies. And a lot of them do follow, for the most part, a similar formula. Not that that's a bad thing, but, for the most part, when you watch a Jackie Chan film, you know what you're getting. Granted, in recent years, he's tried to do stuff a little bit differently, like The Foreigner. What was it? Bane? I forgot what the hell it was called. About The Foreigner. He tried to do something a little bit different, to be fair. But usually his formula, and looking back on this, it was interesting to see a bit of a prototypical 80s American action film, but with Jackie Chan as a tough, dirty, hairy type of cop character. Like I said, it does make you feel a bit more unique in his filmography compared to the other type of characters he's played. But I could see him looking at this and go, I want to do a better version of this, and which is Police Story. I mean, Police Story really is the better version of The Protector. As well as the Hong Kong version of The Protector is better than the American version. Now, okay, the plot of the film. I always found the opening weird. The opening of this film, I think when I first saw this, for 5 minutes, I thought this was a movie after a nuclear holocaust. Seriously, the opening of this film could be the opening of Escape from New York. Like, it's supposed to be New York. It's supposed to be, at the time, modern New York. But, like, there's these burned down neighborhoods and these gang members that are straight out of a Final Fight video game with the outfits. I'm waiting for, mayor / wrestler Hagar to come in and kick the shit out of people. Final Fight, do it. Where's Guy? Where's Guy? Where's Cody? That's what it looked like. But no, it's supposed to be modern. I'm like, okay. And Jackie Chan is a New York cop. He's got this partner. Now, this is the early stages of Jackie trying to get the English language down pat. And you could tell it's the early stages. And Jackie's trying, but number one, the fact that he's playing a type of character that's not really in his comfort zone, especially not at this time. And then the fact that he's not as fluent with English as I would... Compared to now, he's much more fluent in English than back in these days. So again, it's a guy doing his best to utilize the English language and then try to be a tough, dirty, hairy type. It just... That's not Jackie. That's not the best fit for him. Like I said, interesting is cool to watch, being a bit more unique, but you tell why even Jackie himself said, that's not me. It just doesn't work, and it's almost, you could tell he felt uncomfortable playing this type of role. It's almost like he himself knew this didn't fit him. At least that's the way I looked at it. Now, the reason I say this is a prototypical 80s American action film, this feels like one of those movies that... You remember The Hard Way? Or some other movies that talk about Hollywood and they show like the typical action movie. This feels like one of those movies that would be put into a trailer to showcase that aspect of it, because like this is the type of movie that'd be within a movie with the over-the-top bloody squib violence, with the fact that at one point there's a drug lab, and for some reason the drug lab has naked chicks working. Like these shipping containers, drug labs, this woman has been kidnapped and she's in this fucking, looks like a shark cage, next to a bunch of drugs, and there's a bunch of women head to toe naked, tits and cooch all showing. Maybe that's the job requirement. If you don't work drugs, you gotta get naked. Oh, but only the girls. I'm like, what the fuck? This seems like a parody. I don't know why the girls are fully naked. If there's some aspect that they're also a prostitution ring, maybe I missed that portion. Like, you're either fucking or you filling up the drugs. When you're done with that, you go back to fucking. I don't think that was the case. But it's like, even when I'm like, why the fuck are all the girls naked? I'm not going to complain too much about that, but I'm just saying it's a bit weird. So, getting back to after the Escape from New York opening, this people steal computers from this truck. Jackie and his partner get there too late. Then they go to this cafe. Some guys try to rob it. Jackie shoots the bad guys. Big bloody squibs, which is nice to see, because it's very rare to see in a Jackie Chan film. Not many Jackie Chan films are violent. This is one of the only times you'll see a Jackie Chan film that's pretty fucking bloody because of those squibs. And that's because of James Glickenhaus. That's more his style. But people get shot and they literally float. Like anytime person gets shot in this sequence, they fly off, and they fly out the window. Because it's just the guns, they're also part projectile. But I mean, it's fun to watch. But yeah, I mentioned how between the two versions of this film, the Hong Kong version, Jackie Chan, he wanted to take this film, edit some stuff, refilm some stuff, add some new footage, and make his own version for the Hong Kong audience. And he had that chance. And he did make a better version of this, because that version, he knew the naked lady, it was stupid because he edited that part out of his version. But in the opening of this cafe, his partner gets shot and killed. Jackie's chasing this guy. In the American version, that foot chase feels like it goes on forever. Because James Glickenhaus, like I said, I don't think he's the best type of director. Like, he would not be on my list of best action directors, because he just lets things go and go and go, and it just feels sluggish and slow. So like this big guy running, and there's a barbed wire fence, and you see him get over, and then trying to get over, and then he gets over, and then he gets down, and then he keeps going, and he keeps going. It's just, there's no sense of quickness. But in Jackie's version, he knew, okay, this shit's boring. We don't need to see him slowly go over a barbed fence and then get on the other side of the barbed fence. They'll just have him start, then come back to Jackie running. Then when you come back, he's down over and he runs. Or he'll make Jackie's version, some scenes will be more dynamic. In the cafe, when a guy goes out the window, when James Glickenhaus, his version, it's just a guy going out the window, that's it. But in Jackie's version, there's like 3 different angles of the person going out the window. So it makes it feel more dynamic of a shot. Or later on, when Jackie has a fight with this bad guy, back and forth fight, there's a point where the guy has a saw trying to kill Jackie, and in the James Glickenhaus version, just a wide shot, see the back of the guy, tries to hit for Jackie, misses, hits it, zzz, ah. But in Jackie's version, there's another shot where you see the other side, like of almost the POV of the fuse box or whatever, and the saw going in, and then boom, the guy gets electrocuted. And that makes the scene, again, a bit more dynamic, a bit more interesting. And also, like, quicker. Like, it's a much quicker paced film, which is funny because the American version is like 1 hour and 32 minutes. Jackie's version is 1 hour and 28 minutes, and there's a lot more stuff added in. So there's more stuff added in, but it's still like 4 minutes shorter than the James Glickenhaus version. And that's because he just cut a lot of these little moments that just are dragging, so the action scenes seem much more crisp in its editing. Ba, 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 ba. And the fight scene at the end where he's fighting the main bad guy, Jackie totally reshot that, and it's so much better fight scene than the American version. Because the American version, when he's fighting the guy, it's a bit slow and sluggish and kind of haymakers back and forth. And because James Glickenhaus, in his words in the interview on this Blu-ray, he doesn't like the over-stylized, over-choreographed stuff that Jackie did in his movies. I just want to make it, I don't know what word. He didn't say raw. He didn't say realistic. He used another word. I'm like, and look where you're at today. Jackie Chan, one of the biggest stars of all time, made movies that made millions and millions of dollars, has worked consistently for decades. Most people don't know who the fuck James Glickenhaus is. I think James Glickenhaus knows. Because he didn't say anything bad about Jackie Chan, but it felt like almost a passive-aggressive interview. I probably looked too much into it, but there's something about it. I would not be surprised deep down. It's like, fuck Jackie. The guy's a better director than you. And he didn't even, I mean, the stuff he handled in that version showcased that. He knows better how to construct an action movie than you, James Glickenhaus. Sorry. But okay, I talk about the prototypical, you have the yelling captain who disbanded Jackie. You have boat chases. What the fuck is a chate? Boat chases. You get some decent action set pieces. When he's chasing the guy who killed his partner, he's in a boat, the bad guy's in the boat, they're going back and forth. There's a real helicopter, gets on it, pulls up, the boat hits the bad guy's boat, real explosion. Nice shot of Jackie hanging there for the helicopter, and in the background you see the explosion as well. Danny Aiello. I like Danny Aiello. He was in Jacob's Ladder from 1990. He's been in quite a few other stuff. He's a very solid actor. He becomes Jackie Chan's new partner. Danny Aiello's having fun with the role. He's fairly entertaining, as the foul-mouthed American. Says fuck a lot. He says fuck more times than me. They're doing crowd control. This woman gets kidnapped. They realize she's in Hong Kong. They go to Hong Kong. You did a massage parlor fight. Again, this is the difference between the Hong Kong and the American version. The American version, at the massage parlor, Danny Aiello is talking to this girl, and the girl slowly strips her and slowly gets her tits out, and then lays down, flips her body, goes under. So you get the idea. It's going to be a while he's doing the massage, and then he puts his head down. He's like, "Hey, when did you grow a beard?" It's a cooch, man. That was all cut out in the Hong Kong version, so it showed the different, I guess, principles between the American and the Hong Kong versions. But I don't mind the action scenes, because, yeah, they're not going to be as stylized. But, again, at least I didn't think it was a boring movie. There are parts that made me chuckle unintentionally. Like I said, the Dread Lab with all the naked ladies, because they have to be naked for some reason. The big blood squibs, the slow motion, the fight at the massage parlor. So, Rush Hour 2 was not the first time Jackie Chan fought in a massage parlor. It was this movie. So, I don't know, that was interesting. Jackie, him being told to be Dirty Harry, to say lines like, "That's not a threat. That's a promise." Or, what was the one that made me laugh my ass off? I wrote it down so I didn't forget. I laughed my ass off because you would never hear Jackie say this. The tone of voice that he says it, very deep. He says, oh. I'm reading it, I'm laughing. He's like, I'm laughing because it's not your money we want. It's your ass. And just the fact that you have Jackie Chan talking like he's Dirty Harry, saying a line that's, "It's not your money we want, it's your ass." I remember when I first heard that, I went, what? You have Jackie Chan saying that? I don't know why it makes me laugh so much. Probably no one else will laugh at that, but to me, it just have that on a loop. It's not your money we want, it's your ass. It's the way he says it. It's not even the line. It's the way Jackie says it. Just so, like, I don't know what it is about that. But you did some decent stunt work. You did he's chasing a guy who's on a boat. He gets on a motorcycle, goes from one to the other. And he's got to use a pole vault, and others to get from one boat to the other to try to reach this other boat that a bad guy's on, trying to get away. Oh, when Jackie is saying that line that I was laughing about, there's another guy outside of their hotel room, and Danny Aiello all of a sudden has an Uzi. I don't know when or where the fuck he got an Uzi. Did he bring that along? He just all of a sudden has an Uzi. Just boom. Ah, da, 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 da. I'm like, where the fuck did he get the Uzi? It just popped out of fucking nowhere, but it was entertaining. There are some good stunt work. When Danny Aiello shoots the guy falls through these neon signs. Goes out, shoots at a car, flips over, then there's an explosion. So you do practical explosions, practical twists, decent stunt work. It's a short film. The plot is nothing to run home about, truthfully. Danny Aiello is entertaining. Jackie Chan, in retrospect, it's more interesting to see him play a different role, even though, yeah, this was not the right way to represent Jackie, to get him into the American market. It wasn't. Like I said, the drug lab with the naked ladies, they blow it up. Danny Aiello gets captured. The shipping yard, a fight. Again, the fight he has with the I forget the actor's name. Much better than the Hong Kong version. Much crisper, much faster. There's bits that make the fight cooler. Like there's a bit where Jackie bounces off a chain link fence and smashes and hits the guy. When the bad guy comes after him with the saw. In the American version, very wide misses. So there could be no sense of danger with Jackie. But in Hong Kong, Jackie wants that. So he reshot, like I said, reshot the fight. And the saw is getting much, much closer. And much more dodging, almost getting hit. Like, much more satisfying type of fight. Much more intense of a fight. Much more, yeah, you say choreographed, but this was for the better. Much better. Oh, if you see some posters of the film has Jackie Chan holding this big fucking gun. That gun is in the movie, but Jackie never fires it. In fact, they kind of build up this gun a bit, and Danny Aiello, he grabs it and shoots like one guy off a tower. And that's it. And I'm like, why did they even build this gun up? Can someone tell me? Why did they build up this fucking gun if it's going to be used one time? Not even like 4 or 5. No, just one time, and that's it. Meanwhile, Jackie Chan is finding a guy who's throwing boxes at him. Fucking boxes. Tips the guy off, gets to this construction, I forget what a crane. Drops something on the villain. The villain's actually Roy Chiao. Roy Chiao, he's been in a few other stuff. He was, I believe, Van Damme's master in Bloodsport. I remember him the most as the character in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. I think it was Lao She. Nice try, Lao She. Yes, Mr. Jones. At the very beginning of Temple of Doom, that's Roy Chiao. For some reason, he's dubbed. I don't know why he's dubbed. Because by this point, Temple of Doom had come out. Because I believe that was 84. He talked with his regular voice. He sounded perfectly fine. I don't know why the fuck he's dubbed in this. Probably because James Glickenhaus honestly didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Also, when Jackie Chan drops this crane onto the helicopter, there's an edit that you could clearly tell. And they're trying to do it in one shot where it's the back of Jackie's head, And if you watch it again, you see this train drop into a helicopter. It's like ready to hit it, but then there's a jump where all of a sudden it's down here. And then the thing explodes. The helicopter explodes. And there's a jump, like from here to here. And you just fix that with editing. It's coming towards it. Boom, you cut to Jacky's face. Then boom, the second hits. That way it's not that jarring jump. So the movie does have its flaws. But like I said, if you watch the Hong Kong version, at least there's some decent stunt work. And when you watch an action film, like, what are you getting? You getting... even the American version, to an extent, you getting your gunfights, gun battles, you getting your explosions, you getting your foot chases, you getting your... Especially the American version, you getting your titties. Your titty quota. You're getting to see Jackie Chan in a different kind of role. Granted, he's not really the Dirty Harry type, but if you're curious to see that... Danny Aiello, him having fun. And yeah, it's not the Jackie Chan film I watch a lot, but it's not one of his worst. People say it's one of his worst. I would rather watch this than The Medallion, The Tuxedo, because I got entertainment out of it. Sometimes unintentionally, but I mean, to see a Jackie Chan film with bloody, squibs and this stuff, I mean... I've seen much worse action films and much worse. I just say, overall, I liked it. I was entertained by it. I liked it, despite the flaws. And, yeah, The Protector... If you're at... I would say this. If you're expecting your big choreographed Jackie Chan... a movie in the vein of Super Cop, Police Story... You're not going to get it. But if you want to see Jackie in a different kind of role and very much in an 80s American movie, it's worth a watch. It's fun for what it is. It's fun. With that said, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.